Hey friend, please subscribe. 1 second for you. Big deal for me.
I was 36 then, standing on the dock in Newport Beach, watching my wife's family file onto a chartered yacht like it was the damn royal wedding. Her stepdad, Walt, was turning 66, and the whole thing screamed legacy flex. Private charter, photo team, guest list clipboard, and Prescott Holdings logos on every napkin. Then Vivian, my mother-in-law from hell, leaned in close enough for me to smell her perfume and said, with a smile that never reached her eyes, "For you? The deck is enough." She waved past me like I was some hired extra, part of the backdrop. Her little circle of moneyed friends and Riley's junior staff all glided toward the salon where the bar, the AC, and the real party waited. I looked at Riley. She was maybe 10 steps away, wearing that ice blue dress she knew drove me crazy. She saw it, heard it. Her lips pulled into that tight, forced smile she uses when she's picking sides without saying it out loud. I stepped forward, half ready to say something, but paused when I caught sight of the clipboard. Yeah, guest list. And I swear to God, next to my name, someone had written, "Deck only." Handwritten, underlined. A few of Riley's interns tried to pretend they weren't looking. One of them, the brunette with the pearl necklace, actually giggled. That little half-cover-your-mouth kind of laugh, like I just tripped over my own shoelace. Quick note. Before listening, share in the comments which city or country you're watching from. And let's continue. Then came the kicker. "Derek?" "Derek Kellen?" A voice boomed from the upper deck. I looked up. It was the captain, Ray Hollis. Broad-shouldered, weathered face, and a grin I hadn't seen in over a decade. We used to run harbor tugs together out of San Pedro when we were barely old enough to rent a car. Summers, oil barge shifts, and one hell of a storm off Catalina I thought might kill us both. Vivian turned, clearly annoyed, clearly. "Captain, we're late!" she snapped, trying to wave him off like he worked for her. Ray didn't flinch. He climbed down 2 steps, locked eyes with me, and grinned. "You riding with me up top?" I didn't hesitate. "Sure am." Ray clapped my shoulder like we'd just won something and waved me up the stairs toward the bridge. Vivian's mouth tightened so fast it looked like a drawstring bag. I didn't even look at Riley. I walked straight past the velvet rope, straight past the clipboard, and followed Ray up to the bridge. Up there, it was cooler, quieter, better view. I didn't say much at first, just stood behind Ray as he ran through the safety checklist and checked engine revs. But inside, I was boiling. Not because it was the first time Vivian had taken a swing at me, just because this time, she did it in front of 40 people like I didn't matter, like I was decoration. I watched the crew cast off lines. Ray called out headings. Below, the party had started. People laughed, clinked glasses, and took selfies against the yacht logo. But I wasn't thinking about drinks or toasts. I was thinking about how fast I'd gone from business partner to deck furniture. Ray handed me a coffee from the small galley fridge. "She always like that?" I took a sip. "Only when she's breathing." He laughed. "Well, up here you get AC, radar, and first call on the shrimp. Down there's just noise." I smiled, but it wasn't funny, because something in me had shifted, right then and there. The look on Riley's face, choosing silence. The clipboard, the deck-only scribble like I was a temp who'd overstayed his welcome. That night the water was calm, but I should have known. If she'd cut me down in front of donors, staff, and friends like that, it wasn't going to stop. Not unless I made it stop. So I stayed up top, and I waited. Ray eased the Aquila past the jetty like he'd done it 1,000 times. And he probably had. His hands moved smooth over the throttles, and every glance to the radar or nav screen was second nature. He looked older, yeah, salt in the beard, deep lines around the eyes, but the man still ran a vessel like it was an extension of his spine. "I ever tell you about that Catalina run?" he asked without looking up. "You mean the one where the tow line snapped and nearly took your leg off?" I leaned back against the bulkhead, arms crossed. "That's the one," he said, chuckling. "Hell of a night." We talked like that for a while. Nothing heavy. Just two guys who'd spent too many hours covered in diesel and salt water. He even remembered the time I slid down the port ladder during a thunderstorm to fix a fender. Said he thought I was either brave or stupid. I told him I still wasn't sure which. Eventually the talk turned. He asked what I'd been up to since I left the docks. I sold my little logistics outfit back in 2012, I said. Cleared $148,500 after taxes. Took most of it and put it into Riley's company. Redway and Company Ray whistled. Damn, that's real money. Was, I said. She wanted to build something. PR, events, brand stuff. I figured if I could help her start clean, we'd both win. He gave me a look but didn't say anything. That's one thing I always liked about Ray. He lets the silence do the talking when it matters. Vivian hated it, I added. Said I traded sweat for status. Used to make these jabs in front of Riley's board. Real men don't need titles to be providers. That kind of crap. Still thinks she runs the world, huh? She doesn't run the world, I said. Just everyone in it. We both looked down through the bridge windows. The party had spread across the lower deck. Cocktails, past hors d'oeuvres, a couple of Riley's clients showing off their watches. Inside the salon was packed tight, climate-controlled, with a full bar, custom seating chart, and a floral wall for photos. Out on the stern, wind in your face and a tray of warm sliders slowly drying out under the sun. My eyes locked on Riley. She was standing near the rail with her business partner, Gabe Miller. He was textbook, sharp hair, fitted blazer, skin tan enough to say weekends in Palm Springs, without him needing to open his mouth. He leaned in close while Riley laughed at something he said. Her hand brushed his elbow, casual but familiar. They'd been logging late nights for months, strategy meetings, crisis calls. Too much on the line to bring it home, she'd say. I asked once if there was anything going on. She told me I was being insecure. Now I just watched. Ray turned back to the console, then reached into a leather binder and pulled out a manifest. You ever see this? He asked. He handed me the charter sheet. There it was in black and white. Charter client, Redway and Company. Payment method, corporate Amex 2163. Authorized account holder, D. Kellen. I blinked once, then again. That was my card, my name, my liability. Ray tapped the page with a knuckle. Just figured you should know. They booked it under the company, not personal. Big tab for a party you're stuck watching from the bench. I didn't say anything right away. My ears got hot, and my pulse kicked up behind my jaw. I stared at that manifest like it was a trap I hadn't realized I'd built myself into. I felt stupid, not because I didn't see it coming, because I did. I just hoped I was wrong. She's using your account? Ray asked. Looks like it, I said. I haven't even looked at statements in months. Figured it was just standard charges. He let out a low whistle. That's a hell of a thing. Down below, Vivian was circling the deck like she owned the damn ocean. Flashing smiles, calling out names like a fundraiser. One arm wrapped around Walt, the other never too far from her phone. She was working. Always was. Even on a boat that wasn't hers, with guests she barely tolerated, the woman couldn't stop climbing. I folded the manifest and slipped it into my pocket. If they're boxing me out on my dime, that stops tonight. Ray didn't nod, didn't smirk, just reached for a bottle of water, cracked it and handed it over. Let me know if you need anything. I took the water but didn't drink it. I leaned forward on the railing, looking down on a party I'd technically paid for, standing 10 feet above people who'd written me off like I was just the guy who knew how to check the oil. Riley didn't glance up once. I was still leaning over the bridge railing when I got the text from Riley's assistant. One of the younger ones, probably Kara or Jenna. I couldn't remember anymore. The message was clean and cold. Apologies, we're at capacity. Per Mrs. Prescott. No emoji, no follow-up. Just the kind of language that tells you they practiced it in advance. Funny thing about capacity, it never seemed to apply to anyone with the right last name, dress size, or donation history. It was just a polite way to say I didn't belong. I stepped into the bridge and shut the door behind me. Ray was adjusting the heading. Everything good? Not yet. I pulled out my phone and dialed American Express. Told the agent I suspected fraud on Redway's corporate card. Any single charge over $1,000 for the next 24 hours was to be flagged. I added that all pending authorizations should ping my phone for manual approval. The guy confirmed and sent me a case number. Ray glanced over. Something I should know? Not yet, I said, but maybe soon. About 10 minutes later, the purser came stomping up the stairs like someone had yanked his leash. His face was blotchy, and he had a receipt in each hand. Captain, sorry to interrupt, but the bar terminal just declined the last tab. 4-digit flag. Chef's invoice, too. Both say suspected fraud. Ray looked at me without blinking. I gave a little shrug. Guess there's an issue with the card, I said. The purser pointed to the tablet. It's asking for approval from the account holder. You want me to hand it over? Nope, I said. Hold all add-ons until your operator gives you new instructions. The guy blinked like he didn't know if I was joking. Then he nodded and walked off in a hurry. Didn't take long after that. Vivian came marching up like a damn thundercloud. Hair perfect. Shoes ridiculous. Mouth locked in that frozen sorority smile she used when she needed to win, while pretending she wasn't trying. This is unacceptable, she barked at the purser, before he could even speak. Run the card again. The charges are authorized, ma'am, he said. It's not about the terminal. The issuer flagged the card. We've reached a hard stop. Vivian turned to Riley and hissed, Fix your husband. I stepped between them before Riley could even open her mouth. Don't worry. I'm fixing it. I pulled Ray aside and said, Let's make it official. I want to assume the charter and gratuity under transfer. Make me the charterer of record. Ray raised a brow, but didn't question it. You sure? I nodded. Let's move. He grabbed the sat phone and dialed the charter operator. The purser brought up the addendum on his tablet, a clean digital doc outlining the transfer of financial and legal responsibility. I e-signed right then, time-stamped. The operator emailed back 5 minutes later with a countersign and attached receipt. Ray handed me the sat phone. I wired the funds same day, $28,900 for the cruise, $3,200 gratuity. Then I forwarded the SWIFT and traced to the operator and copied the purser. When he confirmed receipt, Ray stepped up to the mic on the bridge PA. His voice was calm. No extra drama. For safety and insurance compliance, all guests must follow the charterer's directions at all times. Charterer of record is Mr. Derek Kellen. The salon went dead quiet like someone pulled the plug on the party. I stayed up top. No victory dance, no gloating, just silence. Vivian made it up to the bridge 2 minutes later, still trying to spin. This is absurd. Contracts were signed. This is my husband's birthday. Ray didn't blink. The person paying and named on the charter gives the orders. That's maritime law. Her eyes darted to the purser, who just nodded. She turned on Riley. Do something. You know what this looks like. I stepped in before she could launch another line of poison. We're not doing deck only anymore, I told the purser. Salon is open seating. No name cards, no client table, and make sure the junior staff eats before the executive table does. If there's shrimp left, great. If not, they still eat first. The purser didn't argue. He just nodded and started moving. Vivian's smile collapsed into something tighter, more calculated. Riley didn't say a word. Her jaw twitched like she wanted to, but her brain couldn't decide what version of herself to go with. Gabe? He was halfway across the salon, staring down at his phone like the Bluetooth menu held a secret escape route. Ray turned back to his heading. I stayed where I was, arms folded, watching the entire room start to bend. People didn't clap, they didn't cheer. But the message was clear. I wasn't asking for a seat. I was taking the damn table, and I wasn't doing it with speeches or threats, just numbers, money, contracts, authority. Vivian tried one more pass, circling back with a fake cough. If your goal is to humiliate your wife— It's not, I said, cutting her off. I'm not here to humiliate anyone. I'm here to end the game where you decide who counts. She blinked once, like she hadn't prepared for that response. Then she turned and walked back down the stairs, every step stiff, like she was holding back the urge to throw something. Ray handed me another water. You always this smooth under pressure? Not always, I said, but I've had practice. From the bridge, I watched the staff start to shift. Conversations changed. People who hadn't made eye contact with me earlier were now glancing up. Not smiles, yet, but curiosity. Respect, maybe. I didn't need applause. I just needed the air to change. And it had. The AV tech leaned over the mixer board, one hand adjusting levels, the other flipping through files on a thumb drive Riley's team had handed him. He looked over his shoulder and asked, "Which one first?" I pointed at the file labeled REEL_R_FINAL.MOV. That one, then run the other one right after. No pause. He gave me a thumbs up and slid the fader. The salon lights dimmed. The room turned toward the big drop-down screen near the forward bulkhead. Riley's sizzle reel kicked off, soft piano under quick cuts of smiling clients, ribbon cuttings, sponsored panels, high-end galas, and press mentions. It was polished, overproduced but clean. She had a real talent for making chaos look curated. The staff clapped halfway through. A couple of the council people nodded along like they'd just remembered why they showed up. Then, without a break, the second video started. Same tone, different purpose. 2 minutes flat. White on navy text over B-roll of past Redway events. Bullet points only. Vendor compliance equals client confidence. Corporate cards are not personal wallets. Duplicate donor invoices equals legal exposure. Signatures matter. No exceptions. No narration. No music. Just cold facts in warm tones. Like a company training video you'd half watch before clicking. I agree. I didn't look at Riley. I looked at the team, especially her junior staff. One girl, the one who laughed when I got deck listed, froze halfway through a bite of crostini. Gabe, near the bar, tensed his jaw and didn't move. A guy from finance shifted in his seat and glanced at Riley like he was waiting for her cue. But the only person who didn't move at all was Vivian. That's how I knew it landed. She wasn't confused. She was calculating. The room didn't explode. Nobody shouted. But the silence afterward? That said everything. The kind of silence people pretend not to hear when a truth hits harder than they expected. I walked to the mic, took a breath, and kept it short. Appreciate everyone coming out tonight. This party's on me. Charter, crew, bar, the whole nine. I want to thank Ray and his team for running a tight ship. And just so we're clear, everyone on this vessel eats the same food, drinks the same drinks, and gets the same seat. No hierarchy at sea. Some light clapping, mostly from the staff and deck crew. The executives looked confused. Vivian looked pissed. I handed the mic back and walked toward the bar. Halfway there, I spotted a kid in a deckhand polo moving a cooler near the starboard lockers. Lean, sunburned, short hair under a cap. He looked up, met my eyes for half a second, then gave a quick nod like we'd already talked. Evan, my kid brother. First time I'd seen him in 8 months. He didn't break stride, didn't stop to chat, just passed me like any other crew member, gave me the smallest half smile that said, "Later," and kept hauling gear like his job depended on it. Which, knowing Ray, it probably did. That hit different. Seeing him out there, working, sober, head down. I wanted to say something. But we weren't the hug and cry kind. We were the show up when it counts kind. And right then, he showed up. Back inside, Vivian had started damage control. I caught her moving from table to table, whispering into ears like a politician mid-scandal, probably spinning it as some kind of hijack. He ambushed us. He's unstable. This wasn't supposed to happen. Walt, her husband, sat off to the side near the buffet. He looked tired. Not sick, just worn down. He shook hands when people came by. thanked the chef twice, and mostly stared at his plate, like it was the only thing not demanding anything from him. I didn't hate the guy. He wasn't a bad man. He was just finished. You could tell. Somewhere around his third glass of wine, he quit trying to interpret the politics and just decided to ride it out. I poured myself a soda and stood near the starboard staircase when Riley found me. "You think this is clever?" she asked, low but sharp. "You think showing up everyone in the room makes you some kind of hero?" I didn't react. "I think people confuse accountability with embarrassment." She crossed her arms. "You're embarrassing me in front of clients." Gabe's already getting calls. I didn't back up. "Then Gabe should stop billing donors twice and learn to read a banking policy." That compliance clip didn't mention names. If people saw themselves in it, that's their own reflection talking. She stared me down, face cold. "You're blowing up the agency just to prove a point." "No," I said. "I'm reminding everyone who funded it, who structured it, and who signed off on every damn vendor form until you stopped needing my approval." She didn't flinch. That was the worst part. I kept waiting for some flicker of guilt, of hesitation, anything that said she remembered who I was, before Vivian taught her to ignore me in public. I leaned in slightly. "You don't have to pick me in private, but you damn well better stop trying to erase me in front of your staff." She stepped back, arms still crossed, but her jaw twitched. I walked away before she could say anything else. Up on the bridge, Ray gave me a look. That went better than I expected. "You're the only one who expected anything," I said. He smirked and showed me his phone. I texted my niece, told her to stand by at the mooring. "Just in case, smart," I said. "She does mobile notary gigs on the side," he added. "Handled charters before." Real fast with paperwork, I nodded and stepped back toward the railing. Below, the boat moved in a slow arc, the lights of the coast stretching behind us. I wasn't smiling, but I wasn't on the outside anymore. The door slammed hard enough to rattle the metal frame. We were in one of the guest cabins below deck. Low ceilings, built-in drawers, and a narrow view of the wake slicing clean through black water behind us. Riley stood in front of it like she was blocking the exit. "You can't do this," she said, arms crossed tight across her stomach. "This is business." I stayed where I was, hands in my pockets, watching her try to keep her voice down, even though she was already at a simmer. "Business is what I've been doing since 2012, when I liquidated my share of Kellen Freight for $148,500 post-tax. You remember that?" She didn't answer. I kept going. "That money went straight into Redway. Your idea, your dream. But I wrote the first check. Convertible note, signed vesting schedule, performance clause. Targets weren't met, so I converted, 52% on paper. I've got the PDF on my phone if you'd like to read the thing you never bothered to." "You're not seriously doing this now," she said, stepping closer. "You think this is the time to throw paper at me? In the middle of a charter?" I unlocked my phone, pulled up the doc, and held it out. "This is what ownership looks like. Not just hours. Not just showing up to events in a dress and a clipboard. Ownership means risk. I took it. You didn't meet the goals. So yeah, I own 52%. She glanced at the screen but didn't take it. Her jaw flexed. Then she looked past me, toward the closed door. "This is petty. No, it's arithmetic." She shook her head. "Clients are here. Donors are here. Gabe has a merger lined up with Creel and Witt that requires me to hold 60%. You kneecap this, and it all collapses. Then maybe don't build your castle on borrowed bricks," I said. "You needed 60. You had 48. That's not my fault." Her voice dropped. "You're punishing me because my mother's loud and I didn't defend you at dinner." I let out a dry laugh. "Riley, this isn't about dinner. This is about 6 years of you choosing silence over spine. And me letting you. Because I thought loyalty would earn me a seat, not a leash." Before she could respond, the door swung open without a knock. Vivian stepped in like it was her suite. Same polished sneer, same cold tone. "You small man," she said, slow and deliberate. "You stand on my deck and flex like you've won something. I didn't even turn. It's not your deck tonight. She took 2 steps in, calm as ever. You've made your point. What's next? Strip the wallpaper? Evict the staff? Ray showed up behind her, arms folded, blocking the doorway like a quiet reminder that this was still his boat, and by extension, my charter. His voice was steady. Everything safe and civil in here? Vivian didn't flinch, but she stopped moving. It's fine, I said. We're just wrapping up. Ray nodded once and stayed posted by the door, not taking sides, just making sure the rules were still rules. I turned back to Riley. I'm giving you a clean option. Quiet divorce, fair settlement, no PR splash. You keep Redway's name. I'll rebrand. You want control back? Buy the shares over time. Market rate plus interest. I'll even sign a non-compete for the first year. She didn't move. Didn't blink. Just stared at me like I was a problem to solve, not a person to respond to. No, she said finally. Just that one word. Vivian smiled behind her like she'd just swallowed the canary. Then we do it loud, I said, nodding once. That's your choice. Riley stepped aside like the conversation was over. Vivian tilted her head. This will ruin you, she said, more amused than angry. You won't come back from this. I turned to Ray. Can you ask your niece to stay close? We may need her soon. He gave a quiet nod and stepped back into the hall. Vivian didn't follow. She lingered, eyes cold. We built something real, she said. You could have had your corner if you stayed small. I held her stare. I've been small long enough. The door shut behind them, and for the first time all night, the room went quiet. I looked around at the little guest cabin. 2-person bed, LED reading light, cheap carpet bolted to the floor. Nothing glamorous, nothing dramatic, but it was quiet, and after 5 years of being dismissed with tight smiles and quick nods, quiet was a win. I took one last glance at the wake outside and stepped back into the hallway. The boat rocked gently under my feet, but my hands were steady. This was just math, and I was done letting them fudge the numbers. I hadn't made it 10 feet from the cabin when Evan caught me by the galley. He looked nervous, shoulders tight, fingers tapping his thigh like a drummer with no sticks. Didn't say a word, just slid his phone into my palm. 5 nights ago, he said, barely above a whisper. I looked down. 2 photos, grainy but clear enough. Balboa Bay Club, top-floor balcony. Riley and Gabe late at night, wine glass in her hand, his palm not where it should have been. One shot showed him touching the small of her back. The second one, well, you didn't need to see skin to know what kind of night that was. I didn't flinch. I felt something pop behind my ribs like a valve letting go, and then quiet. No rage, no shaking, just clean silence in my chest. Thanks, I said, handing the phone back, and I'm proud of you. For showing me. He started to say something, maybe to explain or apologize, but I shook my head. Go coil a line before Ray sees you standing still and fires your ass. That got a small smile. He pocketed the phone and moved off fast, shoulders looser. I turned and headed straight to the bridge. Ray was looking out at the horizon, hands resting on the helm, calm like always. Can you pick up a public mooring for 30 minutes? I asked. He turned, met my eyes, and didn't need a reason. Already logged one on the radio earlier in case we needed it. There's a tender waiting. Want me to bring her in? Yeah, I said. Let's do that. 5 minutes later, Ray's niece came aboard. She wore a gray polo and black jeans, ID badge clipped to her belt, and a no-bullshit attitude that reminded me of Ray in younger form. She confirmed the timestamp on my earlier e-signature, then pulled out a slim folder with 2 copies of the crew tip ledger and a witness form. I initialed both. I grabbed the envelope from my inside jacket pocket, walked down to the swim step where the marine attender was already idling, and waited for Riley to notice I wasn't in the salon. She finally showed up, flanked by 2 assistants, and Gabe walking 2 paces behind, like he wasn't sure if he was supposed to be in frame. I held the envelope out. We're separating, I said. She laughed, confused. Derek, this isn't the time. What are you doing? I didn't answer. I just watched her face shift when she saw the date on the filing, last Thursday, and the asset breakdown. Her smile collapsed fast. This is insane, she muttered, flipping through it. No, I said. This is preparation. You just didn't think I was capable of it. Behind her, Gabe stiffened but didn't speak. He didn't need to. The silence said it all. Vivian arrived seconds later, storming down like someone had pulled a fire alarm. This is a trash tactic, she hissed. On his birthday? I turned to her. If you wanted class, you could have started by giving me a damn chair inside. That shut her up. Her mouth opened like she had a comeback cued, but nothing came out. I stepped aside and signed the ledger in front of Ray's niece. She witnessed it clean. No drama. Then I handed her the charter transfer paperwork to confirm my earlier signature again. I didn't look at Riley. I didn't ask her to sign anything. She wouldn't need to. My lawyer would serve her Monday at 9:10 a.m. at her office, with full tracking and 2 hard copies. The crew was gathered at the rail now. Engineers, stews, junior deckhands, kitchen staff. They weren't cheering. They weren't whispering. They were just watching, still and quiet, like they knew something real was happening and didn't want to miss how it ended. I turned to the marina crew on the tender and handed each guy an envelope, $120 apiece for the assist. They looked stunned. One of them gave me a short nod, like it meant something. Ray called down from the bridge. We good to bring her in slow? I gave him a thumbs up. Yeah, let's bring her back. The tender peeled off. The yacht groaned a little as the lines shifted and we started moving again. The sun was behind Catalina now, sky streaked in deep orange, casting a weird gold across everyone's faces. It felt like a movie set. Expensive clothes, brittle smiles, champagne half-finished and warm. No one was pretending it was a party anymore. I stepped back into the salon. Riley stood frozen by the railing. Vivian had her hand on Walt's arm, whispering something, eyes locked on me like she wanted to press charges. Gabe had moved to the edge of the deck, hands in his pockets, staring out like he was mentally already in another zip code. I didn't say anything else, didn't hand out justifications or make some dramatic speech. This wasn't a moment for fireworks. It was a wake, a slow, quiet end to a boat ride they thought they were running. And I let it ride all the way in. Back in the salon, I found a spot near the stern seating bench where the overhead lights didn't glare on the screen. I set my laptop on the table, booted up, and didn't waste time. First email, Maya Ortiz. My attorney since Redway was a 2-person desk in our garage. Subject, execution started. I gave her a 5-line summary and attached a copy of the charter addendum, the tip ledger, and the time-stamped PDF showing I'd signed the UCC financing statement years ago. Second email, Redway's Bank. Subject, urgent, dual signature hold request. I quoted the 2019 board resolution Riley had signed herself. No outbound wires over $2,500 without both principals signing. I asked them to place a hold on all pending payments and alert me to any withdrawal attempts until further notice. Attached the resolution and a scanned copy of my ID third email, 7 clients. Subject, continuity, short and dry by design. Hi, client first name. Contracts will be honored. My new company, Anchorline Media, will retain the existing creative and ops teams. Your deliverables, point of contact, and invoice process will not change. Due to a pending ownership dispute under the 2017 note conversion, signatory authority at Redway & Company is suspended. Please reach out via cell with questions. D. That was it. No drama, no name-calling, just signals, professional ones. Within 30 minutes, Maya filed the UCC one with the state, locking my security interest on Redway's assets, camera gear, laptops, editing bays, web IP, even the domain name. She followed it with a demand letter. Buyback of my majority shares under the failure to perform clause Riley never bothered to read. Amount, $612,000. Terms, 36 months, market interest, or I kept the shares and spun out the company under my own banner. I closed the laptop and stood. The salon was quieter than earlier. People were sitting now, not mingling, less clinking, more staring at their drinks. Vivian was off near the DJ stand, pretending to give direction while watching me out the side of her eye. I walked the full length of the salon, calm and steady, and found the 4 people who actually mattered: Anya, Luis, Brent, and Kaylee, all senior staff, all core to the machine Riley had built, and all sitting just far enough apart to make sure no one thought they were forming a rebellion. I didn't huddle them, didn't whisper, just stopped by one at a time. "Hey, if you want out," I said to Luis, "I'll have a clean offer letter on your desk by Wednesday. Same pay, $4 grand signing bonus, normal hours, no more shade." He blinked, looked at me, then gave the smallest nod I've ever seen. Same pitch to Anya and Brent. No pressure, just a way out. Kaylee didn't nod. She just said, "Thank you," and took out her phone. I didn't need to poach. I just needed the good ones to know I wasn't bluffing. Vivian must have caught the energy shift, because next thing I knew she was near one of the city council reps, leaning in, whispering like a middle schooler at prom. I couldn't hear what she said, but I knew the move. Plant a doubt, frame a narrative. Walt cut her off before she could finish. "Vivian, please," he said, loud enough for everyone at his table to hear. "Not tonight." It was the first time I'd ever heard him use a tone sharper than polite disinterest. She looked stunned, then pissed, then quiet. I found the purser near the galley and handed him a padded envelope with the full crew tip. 6,800, broken down by role, sealed with their names on individual slips. Engineers, stews, deckhands, chef, even the guys running trash bags off the stern. He flipped through it and looked at me like I'd just broken a rule in a good way. "Word gets around," I said. "Let it." He nodded and disappeared below deck. A few minutes later, Gabe came over, jaw tight like he was trying to hold in something bigger than a thought. He stopped 2 feet away. "This is how you want it?" he asked. "You want to kneecap a woman's business in front of her clients?" I smiled. Not kind, just calm. My money built the skeleton. My sweat ran ops for 3 years. My terms are in black and white. He opened his mouth again, then closed it, looked at Riley, looked at Vivian. Neither of them looked back. "I've known her longer than you," he said finally. "Then you should have respected what she built," I said. "Not snuck around balconies with her after hours." His face went cold. I leaned in slightly. "I didn't blow up her business." She did. I just finally stopped handing her the matchbook. He turned and walked away without another word. I stayed there a few seconds longer, then walked back to the open salon doors and leaned against the frame. The boat was close now, 20 minutes out, maybe less. People had stopped pretending it was a party. They were just trying to get to land without being part of another moment. That's when it really landed. This wasn't revenge. This was correction. Surgical. The kind of clean break you only get when you've already lost every version of yourself trying to avoid it. We eased back into the slip without music, without cheers, without the victory lap Vivian had planned. The DJ was already coiling up his cables, his lights packed into rolling cases. The scent in the air was a weird mix of diesel fumes, ocean salt, and stale cake frosting. Somewhere near the bow, someone's heels clicked across the fiberglass deck like they couldn't get to land fast enough. That suited me fine. I grabbed the mic one last time from the bridge. No feedback squeal, just clean output. "Appreciate everyone for coming out. Thanks to Walt for inviting people, and big thanks again to the crew. You all carried the night. If anyone wants to take a piece of the flower wall home, go for it. No sense trashing that much money." That was it. No shade. No wrap-up speech about ownership or betrayal. Just a straight line out. I left the mic where it was. At the gangway, there he was. A process server in khakis and a polo with a thin manila envelope in one hand and a clipboard in the other. Maya moved quick when she wanted to. Riley stepped off the boat, saw him, and froze like she hit a tripwire. He didn't flinch, just extended the envelope like it was a wedding invitation. "For you." served under California Civil Code. She took it like it burned and turned instantly to Gabe, who tried to hand it back. She shoved it against his chest, but he stepped away. No loyalty left. The guy just shrugged and kept walking like he was late for something more important. Vivian was next. She didn't bother with fake smiles. She walked past me and hissed low enough that only I could hear it. "You'll regret this." "You needed us." I looked her square in the face. "I grew up in a house with 3 boys and a busted box fan. We shared one room and taped trash bags over broken windows in winter. I don't need a salon chair to have a life." Her face didn't change, but her steps slowed. Walt came off the boat last. He looked tired in the kind of way that's permanent. His hand was steady, though. He reached out, shook mine, and said, "You paid for the night." "Thank you." "Happy birthday," I said. And I meant it. He was the only one who ever tried to treat me like I was more than an extra in their show. I caught Evan by the stern, wiping down the railing near the swim step. His face was calm, focused, eyes steady, still working even as the night collapsed around him. I slipped a folded note into his hand. "Dinner Tuesday, 6:30, my place." He didn't say anything, just nodded, looked me in the eye, and kept wiping the rail. That's how we talked, short lines that meant something. By then, most of the guests had scattered, some calling rides, others pretending to have sudden meetings or early mornings. No one stayed for the cleanup. No one stayed for the final photo. The Prescott Dynasty photo op ended in silence and a few knocked-over champagne flutes. I didn't wait around. I walked the dock alone, shoes hitting the wood with that soft creak you only get on marinas late at night. The water slapped gently against the pilings. I passed a guy hosing down another charter boat 2 slips over. He gave me a nod like he knew. Like somehow, the story had already traveled. When I reached my truck, the cab still smelled like old leather and a half-eaten protein bar I'd forgotten about. I sat down behind the wheel, closed the door, and for a second just sat in the dark. No music, no call to make, no plans left to fix. The quiet wasn't heavy. It didn't crush me. It felt like actual air again, like something real was moving around me after a season of breathing other people's script. I didn't look back at the yacht, didn't check for Riley's silhouette or wait for Vivian to take another swing. That part was over. They had their show. I gave them the exit. Now it was my turn to write the next one. The place was nothing special. A second-floor walk-up in Costa Mesa with peeling paint on the stair rail and a busted mailbox I had to slam shut with my hip. But the rent was honest. The ice machine groaned like a diesel engine, and my window faced a car wash that ran promotions on Wednesdays. It was perfect. No more guest lists, no more assigned seating, just me, a coffee pot, and a folding table I bought for $30 at Target. By Friday, 5 clients replied to the continuity email with some version of, "We're with you." 2 more wanted Zoom calls. I didn't pitch hard. I just answered questions straight, confirmed the team was staying intact, and promised I wouldn't let their campaigns end up in someone else's vanity project. Anya and Luis showed up that night with tacos and a 6-pack. We cleared off the folding table, propped a $19 whiteboard from Home Depot against the wall, and sketched a 12-week production plan in dry erase red. "Deadlines stay the same," Anya said, "but no more 30-minute mood boards for a 2-second lower third." Luis grinned. "Also, can we kill the words elevate and curate from all client pitches?" I laughed for the first time in weeks. Done. Maya kept the pressure on. She negotiated a temporary standstill Riley had no choice but to accept. Riley could keep servicing 2 anchor accounts. Long-term clients we both agreed were low risk. But she couldn't move a cent from Redway's main account without my countersign. I had the dual auth email filters set to ping my phone in real time. Every approval went through me. She hated it. Then she followed it. Because she had to. People started sending me gossip without me asking. Screenshots, text threads, timelines of Gabe's late-night messages, receipts from 2 host hotel bookings. I didn't chase it. I archived everything. If we ever ended up in court, I'd need dates and numbers. Balcony shadows didn't matter. Paper did. Tuesday, I met Evan at a little burger joint on Harbor. No frills, just red stools, drip coffee, and burgers so greasy they bled through the paper bags. He looked better, clean, no shakes, eyes focused. 76 days, he said. No brag in it, just a checkpoint. I slid a prepaid card across the table. That's for books. You stick with it 3 months, I'll match whatever you save toward a used truck, cap at $3 grand. He didn't say thanks, didn't cry, just nodded, slid the card into his jacket, and took another bite of his burger. That's how we talk. Always has been. 2 weeks later, Ray showed up at my door with a jar of homemade boat pickles and a manila folder. This guy trains marine vendors on safety compliance. You'd like him, ex-Coast Guard, runs it tight. He needs someone to write the training modules and teach the material. I raised an eyebrow. You think I'm a teacher now? Ray shrugged. You explain rules like a guy who's had to live by them. That's all teaching is. We set a date. Not because I needed the money, because it felt like something I could build that wasn't tied to anyone else's ego. The only message I got from Riley came a week later. One line, send final assets by Friday. No hello, no extra words. I replied with a file link and nothing else. She sent them back Thursday night at 10:14 p.m. Clean edits, no drama. The work was good. It always was when she wasn't playing someone else's game. I didn't write back. Didn't need to. I'm 57 now. That night on the Aquila was 21 years ago, give or take. Some of it's blurred with time, the music, the guest list, the taste of the wine. But I still see the exact look on Vivian's face when Ray said, "Charterer of record." She wasn't mad. That came later. No, in that moment, she looked surprised. Like it had never even occurred to her I might stop asking permission. That's what stuck with me. Not the insults or the posturing. Not even the divorce. Just the fact that she truly believed I'd stay where she put me. Outside, quiet, grateful for whatever scraps came with my name on them. People still ask about it sometimes. The spicy parts, they call them. The insult on the dock. The notary boarding like it was a sting-op. Gabe turning pale when the compliance video started. Those moments get clicks. They feel cinematic. But that wasn't the best part. The best part was the moment I stopped standing outside waiting for someone to open a door I'd paid to build. Riley and I wrapped the divorce in about 9 months. No kids, which helped. She bought back half my shares over 3 years. Missed a payment once. Caught up with interest. The day the final wire hit, she texted, "We're square." I replied, "Received." That was it. No shade, no warmth, just closure. Vivian tried to run her mouth in a few local business groups, said I was unstable, unreliable, vindictive. It didn't go anywhere. You can't cancel a guy who files his quarterly taxes early and answers emails before sunrise. Reputation's not what people say about you. It's how you behave when no one's watching. Walt sent me a Christmas card 2 years in a row. Photo of a little cabin he built by a lake somewhere upstate. His eyes looked clearer, shoulders more relaxed. He signed it all the best W. I pinned it to my fridge both times. Ray's still captaining boats. We fish twice a summer, not because we care about catching anything, but because the wind cuts through the noise. He never asks questions he already knows the answers to. That's the kind of friendship I've learned to keep. Evan's 8 years sober. He finished his welding cert and works inland now. Shop supervisor at a custom metalworks outfit in Ontario. The truck we bought together is still ugly, still dented, and still runs. If there's any revenge, it's this. Boring consistency. I pay my people on time. I return what I borrow. I don't make drama my brand. I sit at the table. I speak plainly. I take the seat I earned, and I don't apologize for it. Every now and then I'll get an email from a guy I don't know. Starts the same way. You don't know me, but your story helped. Some father-in-law tried to pull rank. Some boss iced him out of his own win. Some woman he loved made him feel like he had to shrink to stay. They all want to know the same thing. How'd you know when to push back? And I tell them the same thing every time. You don't need to light the house on fire. Just stop giving them your matches. You don't have to scream. Just sign your name, read your contracts, and stop acting like power has to be gifted. I didn't win by hurting them. I won by refusing to be small. And if there's one thing I'll say to any man who ever gets handed the same cold smile I got on that dock, when the captain turns and asks if you want to ride up top, you say yes. You say yes, and you walk, because nobody gets to decide your worth unless you let them. Where did you stop shrinking yourself and finally take your seat? Share below, and please like and subscribe. It truly helps. One click.
YouTube picked this for you. Tap it. Let's see if they guessed right.